Properties of inverse functions. In exercise A and B, use the graph of the function f to complete the table and sketch the graph of the inverse function. So A, we have the function f, but now we want to find the domain of the inverse function at the range. And we already know, according to the definition of the functions, that the inverse function is going to have what is the domain in the function is going to be the range, and what is the range of the function is going to be domain. And now if x, it means this is domain, is a minus 4, so we go in here in the y-axis and we want to find the inverse function of f, and the inverse function of f is going to be equal to minus 2. So just let me take a pen, and so this one here is a minus 2. And now we are going here, minus 2 is here. And minus 2 is the domain, and the range is a minus 1. So it's a minus 1. So now we go in, the domain of the inverse function is a y-axis. So here is a x is equal to 2. So the inverse function of x is 1. And now here is a 3, and we're looking now for the inverse function. 3 is here, the inverse function is 3. So according to definition, we already know, as I mentioned before, what is the domain of the function f is going to be a range in the inverse function of f. What is the range of function of f? This is going to be the domain of the inverse function of f. So it is going to be vice versa. So now in figure B, we have a minus 3. And if you look in here, a minus 3 is 4. So the inverse function is 4. And here is a minus 2. And minus 2 here is going to be 3. So the inverse function is 3. So it's 3. And now we're looking at 0. And 0 will is obvious here, is minus 1. 0 is minus 1, so inverse function is minus 1. And I'm looking for 6. So 6 is here. So it's here, right? Let me write 6 is here. And the range of the inverse function is negative 2. So this is a negative 2. So inverse function is negative 2. So we already completed the graph of the function of inverse functions.